So what product should you buy to get into Magic the Gathering? That's a question I often hear, get asked, and think about. Now, Magic the Gathering is a game that's a few decades old but has maintained a good player base, and with the release of Magic Arena, the game has never been more popular. Whether you're getting into the game because of your friends or just simply want to try Magic the Gathering out on paper, now has never been a better time to actually jump ship and try out the game. That said, given the sheer history of Magic the Gathering, it can be daunting to just sit down and find out what the best product is for you in order to sit down and just play the game. That said, given the sheer history of Magic the Gathering, it can be daunting to just sit down, and even if you do, what is the best product to even begin with? What product is best suited for your needs and gives you the most bang out of your hard-earned dollar? I'll go into details on why I've chosen these lines specifically as a newcomer product, and why you, as a newcomer, should consider getting these if this is one of your first purchases that you'll ever make inside the realm of Magic the Gathering paper. Let's get one of the biggest things out of the way. Booster boxes are one of the worst investments you can ever make in terms of value and in terms of cards that you want in return. I'll admit it, I'm a booster pack cracking addict, and I love the randomness of opening up a booster pack and finding cards that are truly mine. However, they are absolutely horrendous in terms of value. Let me just put this in perspective for you. A booster box would typically cost around €95 in Europe without shipping, and will come with 36 booster packs. Cards come in 4 variety or 4 rarities, which is common, uncommon, rare, and mythic rarity. You can buy a copy of every common card in a set for €2 to €250. A full set of uncommons depend on the set, but it can range from €5 to €15. In Magic the Gathering, we have different formats. They all have different rules on deck building, but the one I'll be talking about here is mostly tied to these boxes, which is known as Standard. In one Standard deck, you may not have more than 4 copies of any given card inside your deck, so it makes no sense for you outside of trading or resale purposes to get more than 4 copies of any given card. Going back to the pricing, a copy of every common card is €2.50, and let's say it's €10 for a full set of uncommons. So to get 4 copies of every common and uncommon will cost you €50. That means that you will have €45 left to purchase the rares and mythics that you want or need. In Europe, you can find a lot of these rares at around the €1 mark, but it can vary greatly, with some costing more than mythic cards themselves. Mythic cards are generally the most expensive cards to obtain, with some of the highest costing cards. Mythic cards are generally the most expensive cards inside a set, and sometimes they can range from a few euros to even €40 or above. Now you're telling me, Trent, why don't I just buy a booster box of 36 booster packs and maybe I'll pull 36 of those €40 cards? Aha, that's real cash money thinking of you right there. Except it will never be like that, and you know it will never be like that. In your typical booster box, there will be around 2 to 6 mythics per box. Sometimes there's an outlier, you might find 10 or whatever, but those are extremely rare cases. And if you think 10 is extremely rare, the chances of getting 36 is just unfathomable. And of those mythic cards, there are only going to be 1 or 2 that are worth quite a lot of money, which is around the €40 mark. And the mythic pool is how many cards it could possibly be. Now, there are around, say, 15 mythic cards per set, and of those 15, only 2 or 3 of those are going to be worth over €40 or €20 or even above that. But why exactly am I telling you this? 1, so that you don't have some outrageous dream of going outside, buying a booster box, and hoping you're gonna get 36 amazing cards. And 2, because we know that there are 2 to 6 mythic cards per box, some sellers online will actually open up these booster packs in order to get the 6 boosters, or to get the 6 mythics per box, and then they'll sell the rest off as loose boosters. This is why you should never trust online vendors in order to buy single boosters. It's best just to buy these things sealed or from your local game store that you know and trust. The only time that you should be considering a booster box is if you're going to buy it and then play it with a couple of friends. There's a format called Draft and Sealed, but Sealed's easier to explain. Basically, there are 36 packs inside a booster box, so you get 6 friends in, including yourself, and then you each pay 1/6 of the cost of the box. Everyone gets 6 cards, and then you'll make decks out of it. As a beginner, getting 6 booster packs is super cool because then you have cards to play with, but in terms of deck building, you're probably not at the stage where you can actually be making conscious decisions, which is why I put booster boxes so low. It's bad for value, it's bad for newcomers, and it's a good way to learn the game, kinda, but it's very expensive, and at the same time, it's not as fun as it could be if you were more intimate with the game mechanics. The next product that I'm going to talk to you about is Game Night, a product that includes 5 pre-built decks that are balanced against one another. In Magic the Gathering, we have 5 colors that can be mixed and matched. However, when you create a deck with only a single color, we call it a monocolor deck. The decks that come in this product are monocolored and each represent one of the major 5 colors available inside the game. You can play it 1v1, or you can have up to 5 players playing against each other. However, the decks are very basic, and while they can be a good tool to teach newcomers how to play the game, in my opinion, they are so basic that they aren't so much fun after the first 1 or 2 games. If your sole goal is to teach someone how to play Magic the Gathering on paper, in person, then I recommend this product for you. However, with the advent of Magic Arena, I recommend to everyone that's new to the game just to download a copy of the game. It's free, and the tutorial will teach you everything you need to know about the game mechanics better than anyone ever could teach you. I'll have you know that learning the game through Arena is the fastest and easiest way you can ever become integrated with the game mechanics. But moving back to Game Night, it is a product that I can only recommend if you are just going to have friends over who never played the game before, who never want to be invested in the game at all, and just want to teach them or play a little bit of Magic with your friends like that, then this is a product I recommend for you. And while it is possible to salvage maybe 1 or 2 cards from these decks, it's much better just to buy one of the other pre-constructed decks to upgrade them, rather than buy this product to salvage 1 or 2 cards. What is JUMPSTART, and what makes JUMPSTART different to your average booster box? Well, a JUMPSTART booster box is currently going for around €95, and there are 24 packs in a booster box. These packs will consist of 20 cards, with usually half of them consisting of land, and you will get 1 booster pack, along with another booster pack, mash them together, shuffle them, and now you have a product just ready for your enjoyment. This works because the contents are not random, but instead is one of 121 possible combination of cards that you can get from a booster pack. I enjoy the concept of this game mode because there are only 20 cards or so to read through, with the other half being just mana, which is the currency you use inside the game to purchase some of these cards in order to play them. It removes the hurdle for newcomers to know about deck building, and no one can plan in advance, because it's completely up to luck which halves you'll get once you open your packs, and while not guaranteed, some of the cards you can get inside these booster packs are far from the ones that you'll find collecting dust in your binders. Instead, they'll be key to creating some of your most powerful decks in the future. In Magic the Gathering, or trading card games in general, there will always be some combination of cards that are just one cut above the rest. These pre-built decks come out once a year and in theory allow you to go to a competitive event and be on the same footing as someone who's a competitive Major League player. However, in practice, you're going to have to upgrade it just a little bit in order to make it viable at a competitive setting. However, they are still very powerful. They have some extremely good cards that are going to be key essentials if you're going to be playing Standard in the long term. However, the time in which they were designed and the time in which they are printed are 2 completely different things. This means at the time of their inception, these deck combinations were the most powerful things available inside the meta. However, they're usually a few months behind, like 1 or 2 months behind the meta. It does take a little bit of time for these concepts to reach the printers, and by the time they actually reach the store shelves, some of these combinations might have become a little bit weaker to time. And there are better combinations to be had. They also might be 1 set behind, thus meaning you have to buy the newer set of cards in order to power up your current augmentation. In spite of that, these pre-built decks are still very competitive and will contain extremely pricey cards that will cost you possibly more than the product itself if you were to buy it individually. As a beginner, I would recommend these decks only when you get the hang of the mechanics. This is because these are a little bit more pricier than your typical decks. And also, some of the decks aren't built the same. Some of them have stayed in the meta, and to know which ones are most relevant to the current meta setting, you need to have to research the meta, research the game, and play it a little bit just so you know what game mode, just so you know what style of gameplay you enjoy, as well as which are the most viable to keep or buy. Commander decks are named after the format at which they are attuned to. In this format, you cannot have more than 1 copy of any card inside your deck unless they are basic lands. The decks must consist of 99 unique cards along with 1 commander card at your side ready to cast at any moment. To put this into perspective, the standard format, which is what Magic Arena revolves around, only uses cards released in the last year, with every other card prior to that being illegal. However, inside Commander, every card ever released in Magic the Gathering's history are legal to put inside your deck. This includes all cards that are inside the standard at the moment, going to be printed for standard, plus all the cards since the inception of the Magic the Gathering game. Commander decks are pre-built decks that follow the deck building requirements of the Commander format, and once you have purchased it, you can play Commander at your local game store or at your home. Due to the sheer volume of memorization and reading required in order to understand your Commander deck and how best to optimize it and how best to play it, I generally disadvise people from playing Commander as their gateway into Magic the Gathering Arena or Magic the Gathering, because while it is, in my opinion, the most enjoyable and fun way to enjoy Magic the Gathering, it is by far one of the hardest ones to master or even to get into. However, once you have 1 or 2 games underneath your belt and you kind of know what the game mechanics are, and you bought a Commander deck, this means that you can just further build upon that Commander deck using cards from every single edge of the Magic the Gathering history. Not only that, Commander is extremely cheap because you only need 1 copy of every single card, or rather you can only have 1 copy of any single card, making it very easy to get just 1 copy of everything and just be done with collecting for the long term, whereas in Standard you need at least 4 copies of nearly everything in order to become competitively viable. And number 1 on my list for Magic the Gathering product for newcomers will be BRAWL decks. BRAWL decks are basically 60 card decks that follow the Commander format. However, only cards legal in Standard are available for use in deck building. So this means it combines the best of 2 worlds. It has the easiest format to learn, along with the most enjoyable way to play the game. You can create your own BRAWL decks, but the ones created by Wizards of the Coast are extremely well balanced and fine-tuned against one another. In fact, this is one of the few products that Wizards of the Coast has enlisted help outside of the company, enlisting pro players to playtest and to even design some cards inside these decks just to have a better gameplay experience. These decks were in short supply when they were released and thus were spiked up in prices. However, they have since calmed down now, and you can get one of these BRAWL decks for around 15 to 25 euros. The variance between pricing is just due to the power levels of the decks. They are very tuned against one another. However, some of the commanders inside these BRAWL decks are exceptionally better. Corvold in particular is extremely powerful, and he is currently the most expensive BRAWL deck to have. You can also play BRAWL for free inside Magic Arena, so be sure to download the game and just try it out as soon as you can, because it is one of the most enjoyable ways to play Magic the Gathering. And to round up this video, let me just end it by saying that the best way to play Magic the Gathering in general is just playing it with your friends. It's really about the gathering part of Magic that makes it special. Magic Arena is amazing. It is fun, it's intuitive, it's cheap. It is one of the best ways to enjoy the game. However, playing it in person, cracking up booster packs, having a couple of pints here and there with your mates is one of the best ways to just spend an afternoon, get together, catch up, and just making new friends as you're playing the game. And let me tell you now, there will be people who are very toxic, there will be people who will make you not want to enjoy the game or to go back to it, and let me just say, those people are very, very few. A lot of us, myself included, try to make the people feel as included as possible, try to make them feel as comfortable as possible, and we are always going to try to make the newcomer feel included. If you're inside that kind of circle, then you know you're inside the right place. Everyone else, you just kind of phase into the background, you know, everyone kind of knows they're crazy, but we don't really talk about it because... If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe for more Board Game Nerd content, and until next time everyone, I'll see you all later.